Chaos doesn't break a soldier. The mind's reaction to chaos does. But in the military, something extraordinary happens. The brain learns to stay calm while everything around it spins out of control. This ability looks supernatural from the outside, but it's not a gift. It's science, a hidden system built to reprogram the human mind into a weapon of clarity. In 2015, during a nighttime operation in the mountains of eastern Afghanistan, an American patrol walked straight into an ambush. Gunfire erupted from both ridges. Dust filled the air. Radio communication collapsed as multiple soldiers shouted at once. The situation should have caused total panic. But the platoon commander didn't flinch. He stepped behind a rock, closed his eyes for 1 second, and breathed out slowly. When he opened them again, his voice was calm. Too calm for what was happening. He issued 3 short commands. His men repositioned. The chaos shrank, and what could have become a deadly spiral turned into a controlled withdrawal. Later, soldiers said the strangest part wasn't his bravery, but the way his mind seemed untouched by fear. This wasn't luck. This was a trained psychological state, a mental override system the military uses to create calm inside the most violent moments of war. The military cannot rely on natural calm. The mind is built to panic when danger appears. Heart rate spikes, vision narrows, thoughts scatter, survival instincts take over. But soldiers must do the opposite. They must think, analyze, react, and command while the brain is screaming at them to run. This is why military mind control exists, not to suppress emotion, but to control it. The system teaches soldiers to override instinct with logic, replace fear with focus, and convert chaos into usable information. For commanders, this isn't optional. It is the foundation of survival. Inside military operations centers, you can see chaos without bullets. Maps glow with moving targets. Drone footage reveals shifting threats. Sensors detect unknown shapes. Alarms go off without warning. Every piece of information demands attention, and every second of delay increases risk. Psychologists call this cognitive overload, a state where the brain receives more information than it can process. This overload is what kills decision-making. It short-circuits logic. It feeds fear. To counter this, the military uses a system of mental triage. Soldiers are trained to sort chaos the same way medics sort casualties, by filtering noise, isolating the critical, and discarding the irrelevant. This mental filtration system is one part of military mind control, and it changes the way the brain experiences stress. Every soldier knows the moment just before panic hits. It feels like a wave rising inside the chest. Breathing becomes shallow, muscles tighten, thoughts fire too fast to follow. The mind begins to lose its grip. This rising tension is the point where most civilians break. But soldiers train to recognize it early, not as a threat, but as a signal. The brain is warning them that chaos is coming. And this is when they activate the system. 1 second of awareness, 1 shift in breathing, 1 mental command. This small moment prevents panic from taking control and begins the process of mental override. The military's secret is something known as stress inversion, a psychological mechanism that flips the brain's reaction to chaos. Instead of fear increasing mental noise, fear becomes a trigger for calm. Soldiers train until their brain automatically responds to pressure with clarity instead of panic. The system uses 4 internal steps: pause the emotional reaction, slow the internal tempo of the mind, narrow attention to one task, convert fear into action. When repeated enough times, the mind begins to treat chaos not as danger, but as a cue to think sharper. This is why elite soldiers look calm when the world is falling apart. Their brain has been rewired for it. Stress floods the brain with chemicals: adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine. These chemicals are useful for survival, but damaging for decision-making. They increase heart rate, distort memory, and shut down the logical part of the brain. This is why most people panic under pressure. But stress inversion rewires the brain's pathways. Through repeated exposure to controlled stress, breathing slows adrenaline production. Focus reduces neurological noise. Micro-decisions activate the frontal cortex. Over time, the brain builds a new pattern, chaos to clarity, not chaos to panic. This neurological shift is the foundation of mental calm. It is not magical. It is biological training. A former Navy SEAL described a moment during a hostage rescue when things went wrong. Explosions shook the building. The team became separated. Smoke made it impossible to see. He felt panic rising fast. Shallow breath, shaking hands, scattered thoughts. But then, the training took over. He slowed his breathing, narrowed his attention, focused only on the next small action. He said the world went silent. Not physically, but mentally. Inside that silence, he found clarity. He regrouped his men, cleared the hallway, and completed the mission without losing control. He later said the calm didn't come from courage. It came from conditioning. His brain was programmed to become quiet when chaos grew loud. Chaos in everyday life may look different, but the mind responds the same way. Deadlines, arguments, unexpected problems, overwhelming decisions, emotional shocks. The brain enters cognitive overload, and the same panic cycle begins. Stress inversion can work here too, by slowing the breath, narrowing attention to the next controllable step, and interrupting emotional reactions. Any civilian can break the panic loop. Chaos doesn't disappear, but the mind gains control. And once the mind controls the moment, everything changes. Calm is not the absence of chaos. It is the ability to remain yourself inside it. The military teaches that fear is not the enemy. Loss of control is. When the brain learns to use stress instead of collapse under it, a new kind of strength appears. The strength to think when thought is hardest. This is the real meaning of military mind control. Not manipulation, but mastery of one's inner world. Stress inversion is only the beginning. There is a deeper technique, one used by elite units in situations where chaos becomes overwhelming, and silence is the only path to survival. A technique that doesn't just calm the mind, but changes the way the mind experiences fear entirely. We explore that secret in the next episode.